Oh,
Okay,
so it will be archived there
Yep.
forever.
Yep.
you're on.
So
Mom.
welcome. We're here also with our friends and allies, Community Food Centres Canada's local food bank supporters. We'd like a few words from you. You guys have been participating in our postcard campaign.
Yeah. So my name is Rebecca. I'm the Community Advocacy Manager at the Parkdale Food Centre in Ottawa. We're a good food organization and we're going to become a community food centre in partnership with, we're kind of working on that now. It's something new. We did, for our postcard campaign, we did a workshop on Monday of this week. We had a bunch of our neighbors come together to try to understand what's been done of this benefit, because sometimes the government lingo is not super accessible. So we kind of discussed it, asked some questions, and we talked about how important it is to have an actual reliable, informed, inclusive, and adequate benefit to lift people out of poverty, because folks with disabilities and folks at our organization that encounter disabilities are significantly more vulnerable and significantly more poor in general for a very, very long period of time, if not entire lifetime, than populations without disabilities or other marginalized aspects. So we really wanted the government to understand it's not good enough to have people living 40% under the poverty line, 30%. It's not even good enough to lift people up to the poverty line. We need to bring people above the poverty line in a sustainable way. We need to have people that live with disability and live with poverty contribute to understanding this benefit, administering it in a way that's not going to result in clawbacks, that's not going to end up causing way more administrative burdens and patchwork systems and things like this. We've needed this for such a long time. We need it soon. We need people with disabilities living in poverty to be a huge part of it. People with disabilities deserve dignity, lives with dignity, to be able to feed themselves and their families. I brought one of the postcards that one of my dear neighbors wrote. And she said, please give more money for people with disabilities so we can afford extras, like medicine that isn't covered. Isn't that sad that that's considered an extra?
Yeah.
Or expensive exercise just to keep us healthy. I have chills right now because it's awful.
The reality.
It's an absolute reality.
The absolute reality, Rebecca.
So we need to band together because this is a wonderful campaign that's all across Canada right now, and it's not just something that happens during National Accessibility Week. We need to keep fighting. If we are someone that is lucky enough to not live with a disability, we need to fight for our neighbors, our partners, our community members, everything, because we all deserve a valued life, and we deserve for the government to value us in many ways.
And Rebecca, thank you for reminding us it is National Accessibility Week as branded now by the federal government. Live up to the promise of accessibility, which is about living with dignity, independence, and autonomy. People with disabilities cannot do that without adequate income. So yes, just exceed the poverty line for them with this top-up benefit. They cannot wait any longer. They are 30 to 40% below poverty line, and it's getting worse and worse. We know that. Statistics Canada is reporting that poverty is on the rise again. Inflation is contributing to that for everyday Canadians. Imagine disabled people who are not getting much more money than they were prior to the pandemic. They are worse off than they ever were before. So this top-up benefit is critical, and we need all party cooperation for this benefit. So mark National Accessibility Week with the promise of the Canada Disability Benefit achieving Royal Assent. Please table the bill in the House and fast track it before you go on break again. Donna.
Well, I couldn't agree more with what you've both just said. I'm the mother of a young man with significant physical disabilities and medical complexity. He requires 24-hour one-to-one nursing care. He will never be employable. And after my husband and I die, he will be a victim of poverty in addition to his multiple challenges. And that's not okay in Canada. That is insult to injury for disabled Canadians. We need this act now. Our son needs a basic income plan for the rest of his life to keep him okay. And we need, all of us who love him, need that peace of mind that he will be okay and not poor on top of his multiple challenges. He is a worthy citizen. He is a fantastic Canadian, and Canada is very lucky to have him. You just need to ask anyone who has ever met our son, and they will agree with me, I know. So we need to just look around in our communities, in our families. We're talking about us. This is not them, it's us. And we can do better. We need to pass this act now, before the summer breaks in the legislature.
So the Canada Disability Benefit is truly a lifesaver. It's a promise worth keeping. The original promise was made by Prime Minister Trudeau in his throne speech of September 2020. We are standing here almost 3 years later. The first bill was introduced in June of 2021, and it died on the order paper because it was a minority government and there was an election. We're still in the state of a minority government. There's a Liberal NDP agreement in place that did not include the Canada Disability Benefit. We are calling on Mr. Singh to make the Canada Disability Benefit an equal priority with all his other priorities. I know my colleagues in Burnaby are going to echo the sentiment today. Mr. Poilievre, you have many priorities. Please make your disabled neighbors, friends, maybe even family members a priority and help fast-track the Canada Disability Benefit. Let's foster all-party cooperation to table C22 and get it to Royal Assent. Sign off on Royal Assent and get it to the Treasury Board so it can come into force this June. A year to date since the benefit bill was tabled, we stand here appealing to you to save the lives of disabled people who are choosing medical assistance and dying because they can't afford to live. No Canadian should have to do that. I speak to you as a disabled person who's fortunate enough to work. I am a tax-paying citizen of this country, fully contributing to society. I want my tax dollars helping my sisters and brothers with disabilities in this country. So please pass C22 now. Canada Disability Benefit now. Join us on the Hill on June the 7th in Ottawa to advocate for the fast tracking of the Canada Disability Benefit and for the budget to be benefit to be budgeted adequately so that it truly helps people with disabilities living in poverty.
Medication is expensive. Food is expensive. Ask yourself if you think that food is a human right or if it's a privilege. If you think that access to adequate medication and physical and mental health developmental accommodations is a right or is it a privilege? Think of all of the things you, as fellow citizens, fellow Ottawans, fellow Canadians, fellow wherever you're watching this from, all of the things that you get to enjoy on a daily basis. Is that a right or is that a privilege? Right now in Ottawa, I can only speak to Ottawa, that's where I live right now, but the affordable housing list is about 7 to 10 years. So if you need assistance with housing, you're probably going to wait that long, possibly longer. Is housing a human right or a privilege? A lot of these housing providers, we work alongside of them, aren't necessarily the greatest place to live. So have you chosen the place that you lay your head at night? Do you get to choose what you put in your grocery basket? Do you get to claim benefits? Whatever it is, all of these things should be human rights. These should be non-issues.
In our Canada, nobody should be on the street. And unfortunately, we're seeing more and more disabled people on the street and in lineups at food banks. We see this in developing countries. It shouldn't be the case in the developed world. People with disabilities have been left behind long enough. It's time to end disability poverty.